Okay, so welcome to the Phoenix API installation maintenance guide. Um, if you have already gone through my teammates video on how to actually put up the test case application right here, and now you're wondering how you're going to make the metrics work, because probably you're just getting um, some weird message every time you try to run automation or retrieve any test case results. That's because you need to go through this video of how to maintain and actually work with the Phoenix API. So on your deployment folder, um, you're gonna find something like this, a folder that's called mock Phoenix. So on your mock Phoenix folder, you're gonna have some documentation, and you're gonna have mock phoenix.execute file, which once you run, you need to run that as administrator. When you run that as administrator, this is gonna come up, meaning that your API is now running on the local host with the port 3579. What does that mean? That you can, whatever you start developing, uh, when you call some functionalities that are being used by the mock Phoenix API, you're gonna be able to retrieve data from that database. So this is gonna be really useful. This is like your mock Phoenix Bible. You need this is gonna be on the mock Phoenix folder. So here is all the actual methods that you can call in order to get the data that you want. So for example, the get API results is for you to use when you've already run an automation test case. So before we even go into that one, the one that you're running on the automation button is gonna look, your code is gonna have a post method. What does that post method do? That post method is going to simulate a test run, right? And the parameters are gonna be a user, a team, a file, and an environment. If you miss this, the environment is optional, but if in your code you miss any of this, the method is not going to work, because you need to specify where you are, what the user, the team, and most importantly, the file. So on your code, you're going to have a workspace JavaScript file. You're going to have that on the JavaScript source code folder, and your post method is going to look something like this. So it got me a little while to figure this out, because there's some methods that do not run unless you have this installed, this course little plugin, allow origin plugin installed on your Chrome or on your browser that you're currently using. So for example, if you were to run the application, yeah, don't worry, this happens sometimes. So if you were to run your automation, you will need to enable that button. You will need to enable, using Chrome, you will need to enable this right here before you do anything with automation. Because if this is disabled, then it's not going to run. So where do you get this? You get this from the store, the Chrome store. You can Google it, doesn't matter. You can Google, and then you type course. So what is course? Let me explain to you. Course-oriented resource sharing. So basically, this is to be able to share host. So if my host name, right, in this case it's the default 8080, does not, if 8080 does not match with the local host that I'm running my API in, then there's gonna be a conflict of hosts, and you're not gonna be able to retrieve any data from the Phoenix API or Phoenix execute file in this case, because you don't have this implemented yet, which is on the wish list. But in order to override that, you will need to download this plugin. So course plugin for Chrome in this case, right? From the Chrome Web Store. Okay, so you download that, and once you've downloaded it, it's gonna appear as a little plugin here, and you just click on it, and you enable it. It looks red when it's disabled, so if it's green, you're good to go. And that way, when you access a project, this always happens. When you access one of your projects, we have to wait. Sorry, we have to wait. Requesting test plans. Then we can actually run animation. So how do you test that your API is running? You can use a little application software that I have here that is called Postman. Right? So let's say we want to test our post method for a file named test1. So you would type make sure that your file name is the one that you want. You can use test1 for now, or we can use test1 for now. Then you have a team, you have a user. So if you get something here, you don't get an error, that means that your API is running. If you stop your API, it's not gonna run, and it's gonna show an error. So make sure you run the execute file. Later, you still cannot get results for test1 because you haven't told the API that you've finished running your test. So in order to finish running the test, you need to do the same thing here. See, file name test1, because that's the one we were running. And once we do that, it's test complete. And once the test is complete, you can actually get the results of test1. Right? So there you go. That's all the results that you have so far for test1. So make sure that when you are doing this, you have the correct method here. So if you're running a post, you should put a post here. You have a get, you have put. So there's multiple methods, as you can see. So pay attention to the documentation here, because it's gonna tell you exactly what to do with each one. So your get is gonna tell you the parameters that you need. For post, same thing. And it's going to explain to you how to code that. Delete and get API error. If you want to get the error message, you will use this. Get API error. So on your code, it will look something like this. So this was post. So let's say we want to get this would be on the workspace.javascript file on your source code folder. So it's gonna look something like this. So for example, in the post one, your URL is gonna look like this. Sorry about that. It's gonna look like this. So make sure that you have the correct URL here, because if you don't have the correct URL, it's not gonna work. Okay, so this portion is for the getMetrics method. So right now we have the get metrics, and we have the animation method for an animation. You're gonna find that on the folder. Um, so this was me trying to override that access control allow origin thing, but if you have that plugin that I showed you, I think it should be okay, as long as it's innate. So that's it for